天下午呢，是我们党校3个部门文史部、经济学部和国际战略研究院共同举办这么一个研讨活动。我们是有幸请到这个哈佛大学著名教授这个安格尔先生来做一个演讲。我们先请呢文史部主任李文堂教授，针对安格尔先生的情况做一个介绍。
各位老师、同学、女士先生们，今天是我们一个非常特殊的日子19大闭幕令人激动。同样令人激动的是，我们在这里举行一场特别的学术报告会。
Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a special day, and the 19th CPC National Congress has successfully concluded, which is really exciting. It is also exciting that we can have a special academic report here.
那么我们的这个中央党校文史部、经济学部、国际战略研究所3家一起呢，非常荣幸的邀请到当代著名的法学家、哲学家、社会理论家与政治家罗伯特·安格教授来做学术报告。我仅代表我们3个部门对安格教授的到访和演讲表示热烈的欢迎。
Department of Culture and History, Department of Economics, and International Strategy Institute of Central Party School have the honor to invite Professor Roberto Mangabeira Unger, famous contemporary jurist, philosopher, social theorist, and statesman, to make an academic report here. On behalf of our 3 departments, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Unger's visit and speech.
同时，我这里也要感谢清华大学汪辉教授和崔志源教授2位教授陪同教授来做讲座，而且协助我们翻译
Okay. Meanwhile, I'd like to give a warm welcome. I'd like to express my gratitude to Professor Wang Hui and Professor Cui Zhiyuan for arranging the first stop of Professor Unger in Party School, thanks to their company and support in translation.
安格教授1970年代在哈佛大学法学院发起了一场批判法学运动，在学界影响巨大。至今呢，仍然担任著名的庞德法理学讲座教授。
Okay. Professor Unger initiated the critical law study movement in Harvard Law School in 1970s and had a great influence in the academic circle. So far, he has served as a famous professor of Pons jurisprudence.
在中国，安格教授一直是以激进的法学家著称。我很早就读到了他现代社会中的法律一书。
Okay. In China, Professor Unger has always been known as a radical jurist and read his book Law in Modern Society very early.
但是呢，他作为美国艺术和科学院院士，他著作等身，在法学之外，他延伸至哲学、宗教、社会理论、经济学等多个领域。目前呢，大概有7部著作翻译成中文。
However, as a member of the Academy of Arts and Science, he has extended his works to philosophy, religion, social theory, economics, and other fields. Currently, about 7 books have been translated into Chinese.
最近呢，出版了《未来的宗教与单一宇宙与时间时代》2本著作。
The Religion of the Future, The Singular Universe, and The Reality of Time have been published recently.
那么，不管安格尔教授与马克思主义的具体观点有多少差别，但是他却像马克思一样，从批判法学走向批判经济学，而这实际上都源于他向来以改造社会为己任、崇拜想象与反抗命运的思想激情。
Regardless of the difference between the specific views of Professor Unger and those of Marxism, he moved from critical legal studies to critical economics like Marx. It was in fact derived from his constant sense of duty in changing the society and his float of passion in worshipping imagination and resisting the fate.
由此呢，我们也能够理解，一位社会科学领域的教授，一位发展中国家的政治家，仍然会不时回到关于宇宙、时间、自我的那种形而上的思考当中。
And in this way, we can understand that a professor in the field of social sciences, a politician from a developing country, still comes back from time to time to the metaphysical thinking on the universe, time, and self.
安格教授2度出任巴西政府战略部部长，与我国时任国务院国务委员戴秉国等各国政要多次商谈金砖5国等事宜，是金砖5国的积极倡导者。
Professor Unger served twice as Minister of Strategic Affairs of Brazilian government and talked many times with politicians from different countries, such as Mr. Dai Bingguo, the State Councillor of China, concerning the issues of the BRICS, of which he has been an active advocate.
他的这种政治实践不能仅仅理解为发展中国家的政治冲动，而且也要理解为他那种改造世界的自我觉醒与精神冲动。
His political practice can not only be understood as the political impulse of the developing countries, but also should be understood as the self-awakening and spiritual impulse of the active transformation of the world.
那么中央党校是中国共产党培养中高级干部的最高学府，同时也是哲学社会科学研究基地与国家高端智库，一直积极发挥思想建党的文化功能。
The Central Party School is the highest institution for training the middle and senior cadres of Chinese Communist Party, as well as the research base of philosophy and social sciences, and national high-end think tank, and has been actively playing the cultural function of ideological party building.
那么我们这样的马克思主义政党，特别需要全方位的理论创新，需要像马克思那样跨学科的思想家。
Being a Marxist party, we need in particular a full range of theoretical innovation and interdisciplinary thinkers like Marx.
那么我们在安格教授身上也领略到了这种跨学科的思想气质、理论创新勇气与理想主义的终极关怀。
And from Professor Unger, we can experience this interdisciplinary temperament, the courage of theoretical innovation, and the ultimate concern of idealism.
那么我相信安格教授关于包容性先锋主义的演讲，将所展示的批判眼光与全方位的思考能力，至少可以鼓励我们进行伟大思想探索的勇气。
I believe Professor Unger's speech on inclusive vanguardism will demonstrate critical vision and comprehensive thinking ability and inspire us in the exploration of great ideas.
那么现在就让我们自己去仔细而耐心地聆听20世纪难得一见的思想家对现实世界那种或许抽象，然而却是犀利而深刻的思考。
Now let us listen carefully and patiently to a rare thinker in the 21st century and his thinking on the real world, which may be abstract but incisive and profound. Thank you.
好，感谢文堂教授的介绍。下面我们进入这个正式的交流活动。那么这个活动分2个部分，一部分呢是先由安格尔教授发表一个演讲，然后呢第2部分就是我们有个问答，大家有什么问题可以在一个场合难得的机会来求教于安格尔教授。下面我们就以非常热烈的掌声欢迎安格尔教授发表演讲。
Warm welcome.
My theme is the nature and the future, the alternative futures of the most advanced practice of production today, which I shall call the knowledge economy. Now, this subject has vast theoretical and practical impact.
那么我今天演讲的题目是关于自然，也是关于未来，是关于最高级的生产实践，也就是知识经济。那么它具有理论和实践的双重意义。
It has vast theoretical interest because, as Karl Marx understood, the best way to understand the fundamental attributes of economic life is to study the most advanced practice of production in our historical circumstance. In Marx's time, that was mechanized manufacturing and industrial mass production. In our time, it is the knowledge economy.
那么这个话题的理论意义就是在于，马克思曾经说过，那么理解经济生活的最好方式就是理解生产实践活动。那么在马克思的时代主要是制造业，而在我们的时代主要是知识经济。
And this topic has vast practical interest because the axis of national development today has to do with our ability to appropriate the knowledge economy and to establish it in socially inclusive form.
那么这个话题的实践意义就在于一个国家的发展路径，就在于就是一种应用知识经济的一个能力，尤其是在包容性先锋主义的环境中应用知识经济的能力。
The central thesis of my intervention is that the path of national development today depends on the reshaping of the knowledge economy, so that it may cease to be the insular vanguard that it now is, and become instead a practice widely disseminated through the whole national economy.
那么我今天的主题就是发展知识经济的路径，以及重塑知识经济。那么知识经济不应该是被在一种隔绝的状态下去运用，而是应该被广泛的传播。
I shall proceed in the following steps. First, I characterize the knowledge economy and describe its defining attributes. Second, I address what I call the enigma of the confinement of the knowledge economy to isolated vanguards that exclude most of the labor force.
对，那我接下来将分几步进行。首先，我将描述一下这个包容性先锋主义的特征。另外，我将描述一下这个知识经济被局限在某一些范围内的这个局限之谜，以及它为什么会将大多数劳动力排除之外这个谜。
Third, I speak to what I regard as the central dilemma of national development today, which is that conventional industrialization can no longer ensure national development. But the inclusive form of the knowledge economy seems still to be inaccessible.
那么就是我们今天就是国家发展的一个困境。第三点就是国家发展的一个困境是传统的工业化已经不能再保证这个国家的发展，而这个知识经济呢又还没有被接受。
Fourth, in the central part of my remarks, I address three sets of conditions for an inclusive vanguardism: a deepened and disseminated form of the knowledge economy, the cognitive educational conditions, the social moral conditions, and the legal institutional conditions.
那么就是我今天第四部分将是我这个话题的中心。那么我将主要讲解这个包容性先锋主义存在的三个条件， 以及广泛传播的条件。那么首先就是这种知识和教育方面的要求，第二个是社会和道德方面的要求，第三是法律和政治上的一些建构。
Fifth, I make some comments about the cultural and political background that can allow us to satisfy these three sets of requirements for an inclusive vanguardism.
那么最后第5部分呢，我将做一个评论，就是讲一讲包容性先锋主义所存在的文化和政治环境。那么在这样的环境中，才能实现我刚才所说的3个条件。
And finally, in the 6th step of my argument, I want to say something about the driving motivation or ideal that underlies this program.
那么最后一个部分，我将讲一讲，就是在这个想法、这个计划内部的一些动因和理念。
Now, I have to speak in the broadest outline, in a schematic form. Nevertheless, I hope that you will understand that what is at stake is not simply a series of practical proposals, but also and above all a doctrine, a way of thinking.
那么我今天就是所演讲所依据的是一个很宽泛的提纲。那么我希望大家不要将我的这个讲座看成是一个很实际的一些个建议和方案，而是一种思考方式、思维方式。
And my understanding is that I am speaking at an institution in which the definition of doctrine as a guide to national development has paramount importance.
那么我理解，我今天来这里，这是一个机构。那么我们这个中央党校呢，就是对于我们来说，就是一个国家它的理念和原则呢，对于国家的发展是非常的重要的。
So first, the nature of the knowledge economy, of the now most advanced practice of production.
那么首先呢，我讲的就是知识经济的本质以及这个最高级的生产实践。
In every historical circumstance, there is a most advanced practice of production. It is not necessarily, in its beginning, the most efficient productive practice, but it is the practice that has the greatest potential to reach the frontier of productivity and to exercise the broadest transformative influence on economic and social life.
那么就是说，在任何一个历史实践呢，都有这个历史阶段呢，都有高级的这种生产实践存在。那么它开始呢，都是很有效的方式在运作但这并不是最重要，最重要的是它能够充分发挥这种生产力的潜力。
We tend to think of the knowledge economy today by reference to its most familiar form, high technology industry. But this is in fact a superficial interpretation of its character.
那么我们今天提到知识经济的时候，总是提到一种大家熟悉的说法，就是高技术、高新技术，但是这是一种肤浅的提法。
It is characterized not simply by the accumulation of capital, of knowledge, and of advanced technology, but also by a combination of characteristics that I now enumerate.
那么它不仅仅是包括资本、知识以及高新技术的积累，然后也包括一些我接下来将要讲述的特征。
Let's begin with the still relatively superficial level of the technical division of labor, or of production engineering.
那么让我们先从一个较肤浅的层面开始，就是刚刚所说的这个技术以及生产实践这个层面开始。
At this level, there are two characteristics that deserve emphasis. The first characteristic is the combination of the de-standardization or customization of products and services with production at large scale.
第一个层面，就是在这个层面上有2点需要强调。第一个就是对于去中心化以及生产的模式化的一种联合。
So, industrial mass production, the previous most advanced productive practice, produced at large scale, but only standardized products and services. Whereas craft or artisanal production, customized, but without reaching large scale.
那么就是在工业大生产阶段呢，是这种大规模的产出，那么服务和产品呢都被标准化，那么就是在这种去中心化的情况下，这种情况呢就被改变。
The second characteristic of the knowledge economy at the level of the technical division of labor is its combination of a decisive decentralization of initiative by the participants in the process of production with the maintenance of coordination, direction, and momentum.
那么第2个阶段呢，就是说也就是指这个技术分工，劳动力的技术分工，那么它呢也就达到了这种去中心化，然后并且呢，就是维持了这种。
So we can understand what is at stake by a military comparison. Consider the difference between a traditional infantry battalion and a guerrilla or special operations force.
那么我们可以拿这个跟一个军队做对比，也就是说和步兵营以及游击队做一个对比。
The guerrilla force is a superior fighting unit because it combines radical decentralization and therefore the ability to seize opportunity in the field with the maintenance of coordinated action.
那么游击队呢，就是最好的一个将去中心化与最大规模的调动资源相结合的一个例子。
The highest military ideal is for the entire army to take on the characteristics of a guerrilla force at large scale without losing its coherence and command structure.
那么游击队呢，就是这种将最大规模的这种去中心化以及这种但是呢去中心化的就这种特征，同时呢也最大限度的保持了这种一致性，与步调一致。
Now I go on to 3 deeper characteristics of the knowledge economy.
那么现在我要进入3个比较深层次的知识经济的特征。
Characteristics that we fail to recognize because the knowledge economy today exists only in confined and therefore superficial form. To be deep, it must be disseminated. Its depth is related to its generalization.
那么第一个我们没有办法去实现的，就是说今天的包容性先锋主义呢，它还是先锋主义还是局限在一个很孤立的一个范围之内。
The first deep characteristic of the knowledge economy is that it holds the promise of loosening or reversing the most universal constraint in economic life, which is the constraint of declining returns to scale.
他说这个知识经济的第一个最 promise 就是最有希望，就是把那个diminishing return to scale 就是那个规模收益递减的那个约束给它放松这个约束，放松规模收益递减的约束，通过这个知识经济。
In the knowledge economy, there is the potential of increasing returns to scale. And the basic intuitive reason for this potential is that the more that production has to do with knowledge rather than with nature, the easier it is in the process of production to take the next step. The more we do and the more we know, the more we are able to do and to discover.
他就是规模收益递增的，它就是两个特征。第一个就是我们知道的越多，我们就又进一步的可以更多的发现，它是一个这是规模收益递减正好相反的这样一个过程。
The second deeper characteristic of the knowledge economy is that it draws together production and science, economic activity, and the labor of the imagination.
那么知识经济的第二个比较深刻的特点就是它将生产与科学相连，将经济活动与劳动力相连。
It is the most mindful form of economic activity, the one that allows us to make our way of cooperating with one another in production a tangible embodiment of the imagination, of the imaginative side of the mind.
那么就是知识经济一个重要特点就是它重视在生产当中的合作，也重视开发我们头脑中想象力、承担想象力功能的一部分。
So in the knowledge economy, the best firms become more like the best schools.
那么在知识经济当中，最好的公司呢，也就跟最好的学校差不多。
Now let me state a corollary of this idea, which has to do with the relation between the worker and the machine.
那么下面我来做一个就是对比，就是将它与那个工人和机器之间的关系做一个对比。
In Adam Smith's pin factory, or in Henry Ford's assembly line, that is to say, under mass production, the worker worked as if he were one of his machines. By a series of repetitious movements, similar to the movements of his rigid machines.
那么在就是亚当斯密的这个别针厂以及在这个福特的生产线上，工人的工作呢，是一种重复性的工作，好像是机器一样。
Now, under the knowledge economy, we have the potential for a radically different kind of relation between the worker and the machine.
那么在知识经济的这种重塑的关系下呢，劳动者呢和这个机器之间的关系是完全不同的。
Everything that we have learned how to repeat, we express in a formula or an algorithm. And everything that we can express in a formula or an algorithm, we embody in a physical contraction, the machine.
那么就是说，在知识经济条件下，一切可以重复的劳动，我们都以公式或者是这个运算法则的形式来表现。
The point of the machine is to do for us everything that we have learned how to repeat, so that we may preserve our supreme resource, our time, for the not yet repeatable.
那么就是在知识经济的环境下呢，机器承担了一切可重复的劳动，那么我们呢就这样就可以保留大量的时间以及精力来从事更高级的活动。
The worker becomes an anti-machine, and the combination of the machine with the anti-machine is incomparably more powerful than either of them alone.
那么就是工人呢就变得这种反对机器、反对机械化。那么就是这种反对机器与这种和机器劳动这两种方式相结合呢，将会比单一的方式更加有利。
The ideal for the future, in a radicalized and democratized form of the knowledge economy, is that no one should be condemned to do work that could be done by a machine.
那么理想的未来的理想状态就是知识经济呢更加的这种彻底化以及民主化，那么没有人呢需要再去做这种机器可以重复的劳动。
I now come to the third deeper characteristic of the knowledge economy, the transformation of the moral culture of production.
就是第三个知识经济一个第三个较深层面的特征就是社会与道德文化的转变。
The market economy under mass production is characterized by the universalization of a modicum of trust, a low level of trust, allowing for a restricted amount of discretion for each worker, for each participant in the process of production.
那么市场经济在大规模生产情况下的一个特征就是这种全球化的维持一个较低的信任度，那么就是信任度是非常有限的。
So under this view, the traditional view, the market order is impossible when there is no trust and unnecessary when there is high trust. It is a creature of low trust generalized.
那么就是在这种情况下呢，就是传统的市场秩序当中呢，如果说没有信任度呢，是不可能来进行运作的。那么过高的信任度呢，也是没有必要的。
But the radicalized form of the knowledge economy requires that we break down the contrast between jobs of supervision and jobs of execution. And that we therefore also relativize all rigid distinctions among particular roles of implementation. The productive task is reinvented in the process of being implemented.
那么知识经济的一个彻底的形式，就是说在我们工作当中呢，这种指导性的工作与执行性的这种工作性质的界限呢，渐渐变得模糊了，去除了。
The fundamental moral requirement of a deeper and radicalized form of the knowledge economy is a heightening of the level of trust and a broadening of the level of discretion allowed to each participant in the process of production. This is a revolution in the moral culture of productive activity.
那么就是在这种基本的道德的这种市场经济的这种情况下呢，我们需要做的就是要提高信任度，并且拓展我们对于这种事物的一种辨别力。那么这是一种革命。
I now turn to the second step of my argument, which is the description of the enigma of confinement, of the confinement of the knowledge economy to isolated vanguards weakly connected to the rest of the national economy.
那么下面我将要描述的就是这个局限之谜，就是知识经济被局限在某一个范围内，将其与这种国家的经济发展相隔绝这个谜。
The previous most advanced practice of production, industrial mass production, which began in mechanized manufacturing in the aftermath of the Industrial Revolution, was intimately associated with one sector of the economy, industry.
那么这种就是在这种大工业生产的环境下，以及工业革命的这种机械化的这种情况下，那么这种技术往往只是与一个领域相联系。
Nevertheless, that advanced practice of production rapidly influenced every part of the economy. Every sector of the economy, including agriculture, was transformed on the model of mechanized manufacturing.
那么就是在这种高度的这种生产的就是在这个大工业革命之后呢，每一个领域呢，它都得到了一个转变。那么农业呢，也得到了大规模的机械化。
Now we have an advanced practice of production, knowledge-intensive experimentalist production, that should in principle be susceptible to even more universal dissemination. But the opposite happens. The advanced practice of production, instead of being universally disseminated, is arrested, is quarantined within narrow parts of the economy.
那么就是这种高级的生产实践呢，它是与知识密集型以及试验性的这种生产相联系。它本来应该在大规模的范围内去传播，但是呢，这种高级的生产实践呢，当下的情况是它被隔绝起来了，它被隔离了，没有能够进行大规模的传播。
It is no longer associated with just one sector, industry. It is present in every sector. In agriculture, as precision scientific agriculture, and in services, as intellectually deep services.
那么就是就是这个技术呢，它是应该与这种农业以及服务业呢去相联系。那么这个知识经济应该得到大规模的广泛的传播，以及与知识紧密相关的这些领域，在这些领域当中进行传播。
Nevertheless, in each sector of the economy, it appears as a fringe, from which the vast majority of the labor force remains excluded.
那么然而实际情况却是在每一个领域呢，他们都是出现在一个这些就是高级别的这种生产实践都只是在这个每一个领域的边缘出现，而并没有得到这种大规模的去普及。
So not just advanced manufacturing, but intellectual services and scientific agriculture. The insularity of the knowledge economy, instead of being attenuated over time, is increasingly exaggerated. A few mega firms concentrate the creative activity in a small group of people. They find ways to routinize or commoditize a part of their process of production, and then to assign these commoditized or routinized parts to firms located in other parts of the world.
那么实际情况就是这种高级的生产实践呢，它呢是局限，它应该在这种知识经济，它是与各个领域相连接，但是实际情形就是这种隔绝呢，长期的隔绝呢，是并没有被弱化，而是持续的被增强。那么这些高级的生产实践呢，由大公司来承担，那么仅局限在一些小规模的人群当中，并没有得到大规模的普及。
There thus arises a pernicious combination of hyper-insular vanguardism and belated Fordist mass production.
对，他就是说有一种奇怪的组合，就是最先进的，他这个先锋主义的生产方式，它就是像一个局部的小岛好像被那个很局部的局限在那儿了。但是和广大的地区还是以前的那种福特主义大批量生产的一种形式，就这两种力的结合，他觉得是一个很奇特的、不应该的一个情况。
And this combination is accompanied by the reorganization of labor on a global scale in the form of decentralized contractual arrangements. These arrangements condemn much of the labor force throughout the world to conditions of precarious employment.
那么就是现在就是说这种劳动力的全球化的重组呢，是应该的情况，就是在一种被去中心化的情况下被进行安排。
The condemnation of the majority of the labor force, even in the richest economies of the world, to precarious employment and radical economic insecurity is incompatible with accelerated and broad-based economic growth.
那么这种就是劳动力的重组与去中心化的安排，那么在最发达的国家当中呢，它都没有被充分的进行。
Insular vanguardism, the confinement of the knowledge economy to fringes, is the chief cause of both economic stagnation and massive economic inequality in the advanced economies of the world.
那么这种隔绝式的先锋主义呢，将高技术就是局限在一个边缘的一个状态下呢，是这种我们今天的经济停滞以及经济当中的不平等的一个主要的原因。
In the United States now, there is a discourse that goes under the label secular stagnation that attempts to naturalize the slowdown in economic growth and in the rise of productivity, to make it seem natural. But there is nothing natural about it. It is, to a large degree, a consequence of the confinement of the most productive practice of production to the insular vanguards.
那么就是今天呢，在美国呢，有一种趋势，就是大家将这种经济的停滞或者经济的放缓看成一种自然的现象，但这并不是一种自然的现象。那么它是这种隔绝式的这种先锋主义，将高级的生产实践所隔绝的这样一种状态所带来的结果。
At the same time that it causes economic stagnation, insular vanguardism is also responsible for the aggravation of inequality.
那么同时呢，这种隔绝的先锋主义也是经济上的不平等的一个重要原因。
It produces an abyss, a chasm, between the vanguard and the rear guards of economic life.
那么它就是在这种先锋呢以及普通的这种层面当中呢，制造了一种鸿沟。
The two traditional devices for the moderation of inequality, which are the defense of small business against big business and compensatory redistribution by progressive taxation and redistributive social spending, are completely inadequate to master the inequalities that result from the hierarchical segmentation of the economy.
那么有两种传统的调节这种不平等的机制，一个就是保护中小企业而反对大企业，那么另外一个呢，就是通过对于税收以及收益的再分配来进行调节。那么这两种方式对于经济发展来讲都是不充分的。
To the two great evils of economic stagnation and economic inequality, we should add a third evil, which is belittlement, humiliation. This circumstance that I described condemns people by the hundreds of millions to live small lives.
他说对两大 evil 就是两大恶，一个是经济停滞，一个是那个经济停滞的什么？
Economic stagnation, economic inequality, and belittlement.
经济停滞是一大义务，第二个经济不平等是第二大义务。他说再加上第三大义务就belittle，就说使人生活的渺小，使人不能把人的潜力发挥出来。
The third step of my argument, the dilemma of development today. The central message of the classical development economics in the second half of the 20th century was to achieve development by transferring people and resources from the less productive to the more productive sectors of the economy. In practice, that meant by transferring them from agriculture to industry.
那么就是有一个就是两难的境地呢，就是说在这个20世纪也是20世纪下半叶的经典经济学当中的一个问题，就是说人们为了达到了经济发展呢，将人呢从不发达的领域转向较发达的领域，比如说将农业转向工业领域。
Conventional mass production, industrialization in the form of mass production was the road to rapid economic growth and convergence to the advanced economies.
那么就是传统的大工业生产呢，给这个经济发展呢，带来了这种一种高速的这样一种状态。
Now this road is blocked for 4 reasons.
那么现在呢，它所扮演的这样一种为经济增长所带来的这种效益，那么它的这种角色呢，已经被堵住了。
The first reason is that conventional industrialization is no longer a route to the highest position in the world economy. The highest position is now occupied by the insular knowledge economy. And the late industrializers are subordinate to those who control the knowledge economy.
那么就是说，刚才他讲那个，就是一共有4个原因，就是说大规模生产现在不奏效的一个原因，就是第一个，是这种传统的工业化呢，它呢已经成为了一种隔绝的知识经济的一种附属品，它不再成为那个经济高速发展的一个动因。
The second reason is that increasingly the advanced producers, the masters of the most advanced practice of production, are able to outcompete the conventional industries to produce better at a lower cost what conventional industrialization has produced before.
那么就是第二个原因，就是说，逐渐的一些就是一些分散的一些生产者呢，他们所制造的产品，逐渐能够胜过一些传统的一些大规模生产的产品，他们的价格呢更加就是成本更加的低。
The third reason is that the countries that insist on the classical formula of conventional industrialization are compelled to compete with one another for lower and lower returns to labor, the lowering of the real wage. There is always another country in the world that is able to provide labor at a lower cost.
那么第3个原因就是在传统的领域当中呢，一些就是总是有一些通过一些降低工人工资的方式来达到收益，但是总是有一些国家能够提供更低的这个工人工资来使这个它的这种产出胜出。
And the fourth reason is that as a result of the transformation produced by the emergence of the new advanced practice of production, the very distinction among sectors starts to break down. Advanced manufacturing under the knowledge economy consists in crystallized intellectual services. There is no clear distinction between manufacture and services under the knowledge economy.
那么第4点呢，就是说这知识经济带来的转型，就是在这个行业之间的划分，并不是像过去那么明显了。比如说制造业与服务业之间的这种区分，渐渐被模糊了。
So the road to development through conventional industrialization is blocked. But what is the alternative?
那么就是说，回到这种传统的领域、传统的经济模式来进行发展，这条路已经被堵死了。那么未来在哪里呢？那么就是说，它的替代品在哪里？
The alternative, in principle, would be an inclusive form of the knowledge economy. The radicalization and dissemination of the most advanced practice of production.
那么就是说，它的替代品就是这种包容性的先锋主义，它也是一种最彻底的一种方式，它以一种最彻底的方式来传播高级别的这种生产实践。
But if this inclusive vanguardism has not been established, even in the richest and most educated economies in the world, how can we expect it to be inaugurated in the large developing countries?
那么，如果这种包容性先锋主义还没有在一些相对经济发达、受教育水平较高的经济体当中被执行、被拓展的话，那么我们如何在这种发展中国家去来执行这种包容性先锋主义？
So the old road is closed, and the new road seems to be inaccessible.
那么这个老的路呢，被这种堵死了。那么新的路呢，似乎也不可以被接受。
This is the essential dilemma of development today.
那么这也是经
This
济发
is
展
the
的困境。
crucial point of the emerging debate in the world about national development.
那么也是今天国家发展当中最重要的一个争论。
The only way to resolve this dilemma is to break it on the second side by making the seemingly inaccessible accessible. That is to say, by finding a way to establish an inclusive form of the knowledge economy in steps, step by step and part by part.
OK， 那么我们今天解决方案就是将这种似乎不能被接受的东西，应该让它变得被接受，也就是建立一种包容性的知识经济。但是我们是一种逐步的、渐进的方式来建立。
So from these first three parts of my argument, I infer a project, the project of an inclusive vanguardism, a generalized form of the knowledge economy, giving practical content to the widely professed goal of socially inclusive economic growth.
那么就是我刚才讲的3点。那么在我的整个的设计，我的计划对于推广这种包容性先锋主义的计划呢，就是说对于知识经济的普及，那么这是一种很实际的一种方式。
We cannot achieve that goal anywhere in the world without radical changes in our institutions and in our culture. And these changes, therefore, require a revolutionary spirit and a revolutionary practice.
那么就是说，在推广以这种相对激进的方式来推广包容性先锋主义的话，那我们需要的是一种革命的精神去革命的实践。
This practice and this spirit seem now to be beyond the capabilities of the most advanced economies.
那么这种实践似乎在最发达的经济体当中都不可能去实现，超越了他们的能力。
And therefore, I look to the continental developing countries, beginning with China and my own country, Brazil, as places where this transformation, vital to the interest of humanity, might begin.
那么现在呢，我就是想从一些各大洲的一些发展中国家，比如说我自己的国家巴西，还有中国，来探讨这种可能性。
This remark then brings me to the fourth part of my argument, which is the enumeration of 3 sets of conditions for an inclusive vanguardism.
那么我下面进入我这个话题的第4部分，就是实现包容性先锋主义的这种3个条件。
These conditions do not form part of a system. They describe a direction. Always, in a programmatic argument, what matters is to mark the direction and to define the initial steps by which to begin to move in that direction in our historical circumstance.
那么这个我今天讲述的这3个条件，它并不是形成一个系统，而是它形成的是一种方向，它是一种纲领性的论述。那么就是它提出了一些向包容性先锋主义迈进的起初的一些步骤。那么它会引领我们走入这个方向。
In the contemporary climate of opinion, the programmatic imagination tends to be inhibited and demoralized by a false dilemma.
那么在当代的舆论环境当中呢，这种包容性先锋主义似乎呢也受到了一些的抑制。
If I propose to you something that is distant from what exists, you may say that's interesting, but it's utopian. And if I propose something that's close to what exists, you may answer that's feasible, but it's trivial.
如果说就是在当代这种舆论环境当中，如果我给你提出了一个想法，它离现实太远的话，你会认为是空想；如果它离现实太切近的话，你会认为它无意义。
This is a false dilemma, making us believe that everything that can be proposed should be derided as either trivial or utopian.
那么我们今天这个困境就是，我们所提出的任何想法，要么被认为是空想，要么就被认为是无意义。
What matters is the direction, not how far we go at any given moment in that direction. It's not like architecture, it's like music. It's about a succession of steps.
那么就是说，其实最重要的还是一个方向性的问题，而不是说一些具体的措施。那么这个我所说的这个形式，它好像是建筑，它不是跟建筑不一样，而是好像是音乐。那么它是一个渐进的、一步一步的实现的过程。
So the first set of conditions are the cognitive and educational conditions, a radical change in the way that we teach and learn.
那么第一个呢，就是说知识与教育方面的一些要求。那么我们需要对我们的教学方法进行一个更新和转变。
The education required by an inclusive vanguardism should have the following 4 characteristics.
那包容性先锋主义所要求的教育呢，应该拥有如下4个特征。
First, it should accord priority to the capabilities of the imagination, our analytic and synthetic capabilities, over the mastery of content or of information.
那么第一个重点就是我们应该把想象力的培养作为首要目标，培养就是我们的学生的一种分析的人才的一种分析的能力，而不是就是掌握和记忆信息的能力。
But these analytic and synthetic capabilities cannot be acquired in a vacuum of information. What matters with respect to content is not the amplitude of coverage, encyclopedic superficiality, but the selective depth. Choose a few themes in every area and address them deeply, rather than trying to mimic the encyclopedia.
那么这种综合和分析的能力呢，并不是意味着这种信息的真空，而我们应该是就是实际的内容有赋予它实际的内容。当然，这种内容不应该是百科全书式的，而是应该培养人才选择一个方向，然后去深耕细作。
The third characteristic of this form of education is that from the very outset it must be cooperative. In its social setting, it must be organized on the basis of teams of students and of teachers, working cooperatively together.
那么第3点呢，就是这种合作的精神。那么在整个社会环境当中，应该倡导一种合作精神，老师与学生之间的合作。
And the fourth attribute, the most difficult and the most important, is that education be dialectical.
那么第4点就是教育呢，应该